Hey guys, glad you stopped by. Just getting ready to cook dinner. Since you're here, you can help me, or at least keep me company while I cook. And tonight, if you're so inclined to eat with us, we're going to do a creamy chicken vegetable soup. I think this is going to be amazing. I love vegetable soup. I love chicken. I love creamy anything soup. The only thing it's missing really is maybe some noodles, but this is one of those recipes that even at its base is amazing, I think, because it's got all my favorite stuff in it. But you can vary things so much. Put your favorite vegetables in it if it's not already there. I even do that with chicken noodle soup. I load my chicken noodle soup with vegetables. Well, some people don't, and that's cool, but I mean, even in my chicken noodle soup in itself, not only does it get noodles and chicken and broth and spices, but it also gets carrots, celery, sometimes potatoes, onions, occasionally I'll throw in some broccoli. You know, I mean, why not? Yeah, it's, you know, the world is your palate, so to speak, when it comes to most soups anyhow, but I think this one is going to be absolutely amazing, and it's not going to take us long to make. This could easily be a 30-minute meal, if not less, depending on how you go about it. So, that being said, if you're new, this is your first video, I hope you get something out of it. Check out some of my other videos. If you're returning to my channel or one of our new subscribers, thank you. Thank you for stopping back by, and thank you for, you know, subscribing. That's awesome. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. All that stuff keeps us out in the algorithm, throws us out there more, helps our neighborhood to grow. That's important, I think. Allows us to share more ideas, bring more ideas to the table, you know, and keeps the conversation rolling, even if it is about food, so to speak. Food does a lot of things for us. It will, you know, bring neighbors together, strangers together. It brings people together in a time of need. Food is really very helpful with society, and I think we do a pretty good job around here of kind of, you know, making it happen, right? So that being said, comments always welcome. Just be nice. It's okay to disagree, you know, with me or even anybody in the comments. Just think before you type. You know, we are polite, and I'd like it to stay that way. I know you would too. So why don't you say we get down here to the counter and start making us some creamy chicken and vegetable soup. All right, so we're down here at the counter. Other than a recipe, which I have right here, if you're new, I handwrite all my recipes down. Even like this one here, it started its life online, and I can't for the life of me remember where now I found it, but I'll put it right here. I always try to, as much as I can, give credit to whoever or wherever the recipe came from, at least the website, so you know where to go. A lot of times, like, I'll say Southern Living, but they probably have, I don't know, 1 million people who write recipes, including people who are part of their community that send in recipes. So sometimes I don't always catch everything, but I can at least get you in the right direction. But I have it written down. That way, if there's something we want to change, it's in pencil, we can change it. If we don't like it at all, let's just say it's just a horrible recipe, we just tear it out and throw it away. And that's okay. I have yet to have that happen, but at the same time, you know, I have modified a lot of recipes, you know, and created a couple of my own out of an original recipe. But that being said, we will definitely need a pot, whether it be a stock pot or a soup pot. We will need a pot to start with. I am going to, well, I should say a stock pot or a Dutch oven. I'm going to try to use my Dutch oven. Hopefully I don't run out of room. I don't think I will. I think we'll be okay. So in my Dutch oven, I have 2 tablespoons of butter, and we're going to go ahead and get that melted. All right. Our butter is melted. I got it on medium-high heat, by the way. I don't think I mentioned that. But our butter is melted. It is a bubbling. We are nice and hot down in there. I can feel it. So the next thing we need to add to this, I have got 1 medium onion, just chopped. I've got 1 or 2 carrots, and that I use that term loosely because, and I've got them chopped, but I used medium-sized carrots. They weren't jumbo carrots. They weren't itty-bitty carrots. And then I've got 2 large celery stalks that I also chopped up or sliced up. That what we're going to do with these is go ahead and get them in here, and we're going to let these go for about 5 minutes, give or take. It'll depend on how big you chopped them, diced them, sliced them. You know, to get the onions to soften up, start to turn translucent. All right, so been about 4 or 5 minutes, and our onions are starting to soften up. I'll show you real quick. There we are. And you know, we're giving these 3 things a head start. And you can tell the onions are softening up. I can see it. The celery's starting to get a little soft. I can smell it. The carrots are starting to get a little tender, but they're not quite there yet, but that's all right because they gotta keep cooking. So the next things we're gonna add to this, I am going to put in, I've got 3 cloves of minced garlic. Well, in my case, I use my garlic press. The garlic press is probably the single greatest tool I have, like accessory tool I have in my kitchen. I use it all the time. So I'm gonna put that in there, right? And we're just gonna start cooking this until it's fragrant, about another minute, but I am also going to add my spices now too. So I've got, in here I've got a teaspoon of dried parsley. I have got a half a teaspoon of marjoram, which I can't recall a time I've ever used it, but this recipe called for it. So I've got a half a teaspoon of marjoram, and I've got a half a teaspoon of dried thyme. I'm going to go ahead and get those in there now and get them a head start along with that garlic. You want to try to keep this moving so your garlic doesn't burn. Your garlic burns, it will get bitter, and you don't want bitter in your soup, whether it's creamy or not. It's hard to hide that taste. So about a minute till it gets fragrant. Okay, next thing we need to add into this, I probably should have done it first, but I wasn't thinking. I've got a tablespoon and a half of flour. So I'm gonna put that in here, and we wanna give this a good stir around until we can't see any white. Raw flour, I mean, I've cooked with it, and I have personally never been able to taste it, but it can have a flavor depending on the type of flour you use, I guess. So you wanna get that in there and get it till it's till you can't see any more white. Let it cook for a minute. All right, our flour, it has cooked for a minute. So next thing we want to do is add 4 cups of chicken broth or chicken stock, whichever you have. We make our own, but if you're using store-bought, that's awesome too. You want to, it's just one of the smaller containers. That's 4 cups or a quart of chicken broth. We're going to get that in there, and we're going to add a half a teaspoon of salt and a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. Half a teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, and all these dry ingredients, I mean, well, any of the ingredients you can go heavy on, go light on. It's completely up to you, really, on how you do that. You know, what is your preference? So we got those all in there. We'll give that a good stir up. And right now, like the little bit of flour that was on the bottom, you know, any flavors that were in the bottom of the pot, boom, right there they are. So now is when we add our vegetables and our chicken. So I've got, it called for 1 large potato, and I'm sure they were talking about a russet because it said peeled. Well, I guess you peel any potato, but if you're using a russet, you'll want to peel it and cube it. I'm using a red potato. That's pretty much what we use around here all the time. So, and I don't take the skins off of them because the skins are thin, and that's where all the nutrition is. So I personally like to leave the skins on. So I've got 2 medium red potatoes instead of 1 large russet potato. Get that in there. Then we've got a half a cup of frozen peas. We're gonna put that in. A half a cup of carrots. Half a cup of frozen corn. Go ahead and get that in there. Give that a good stir real quick. And then we are going to put the star of the show in. Oh, don't want to leave that corn behind. And you can use a frozen veggie medley in this, and you don't have to do anything with the raw carrot, celery, what, you know, you can do your own. If you use a veggie mix, depending on what's in it, you can substitute the frozen for raw. You can change it up any way you like it. Chicken, I have 2 cups worth of cubed or chunked chicken right here. Now, once again, you could use a rotisserie chicken. I'm using chicken breast. You could use a mix of breast and thighs. A lot of times we like to cook up a couple of roasted chickens at the same time, and then we'll eat off of it. But then that's plenty of chicken. I mean, 2 whole chickens, fryer chickens, is, you know, good size. But the leftovers I'll freeze and we'll use it for other dishes. And in this case, I just threw those. I was making stuff today anyhow in the oven, so while I was at it, I just threw in some chicken with some poultry seasoning on it. But anyhow, we've got all that in there. We're going to bring this up to a boil, turn it down to a simmer, and let it simmer for 20-25 minutes until our vegetables are all soft, potatoes and everything. And that's going to vary depending on how big or small you cut up your vegetables. But once it starts to boil and I take it down to a simmer, I am going to put the lid on it. Alright, so we've been about 20 minutes, and what I did was every 5 minutes or so, well, I let it go about 10 minutes, and then about every 5 minutes after that, I would pull out a potato and a carrot and check them, because we want to make sure everything is softened, because we're just literally, everything, you can eat it raw, but I mean, a potato doesn't taste very good. So you want to make sure your potatoes are fork tender. Now, fork tender means that I should be able to take my fork like this and just easily slide it in. I'd say I wasn't even paying attention, and I put it in there. That way I know my potatoes are done, right? And it's pretty much the same thing with carrots. Because they both can get mushy if you're not careful. So you don't want to overcook them so much, but you should be able to take your carrot just like that and just be able to just push your fork into it, you know, like such. But with carrots at least, I mean, you may feel this way about potatoes. Everybody's a little different about their veggies. I like to have a little bit of resistance, you know, a little bit of resistance, because I like to have that little bit of crunch. The peas being frozen, they're already partially cooked. The corn being frozen, already partially cooked, so they're done. You know they're done. They don't take long. Celery, same way. So now we know our stuff's fork tender. All I have left to do is I got a half a cup of half and half, which is nothing more than half whole creamer and half milk, essentially. So let's say you don't have any half and half, but you got some heavy cream and you got some milk, equal parts. And you're gonna put that in there. Or, I mean, if you so desire and you want that extra richness, you could probably do heavy cream. There's no rule that says you can't. And it'll be just fine. If anything, I would maybe add like an additional cup of chicken broth or water to it to help, so that way you don't make it too rich. But who determines too rich? So we'll go ahead and get that stirred in. I still have my pot on medium low, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to let that cook down for about I'm going to let this cook, lid off, for about 3 minutes. That will help get that heavy cream in there and let it get to know everything that's already in the pot, right? So in 3 minutes, we can take it off the stove, and we're going to let it rest for about 10, which will help thicken it up. I'm going to leave the lid off. I'm going to set it on a hot pad right here on the counter and just let it rest. That way everything settles down, flavors will mingle, it won't melt our face when we try to take that first bite. And so when I come back, we can take a look at our finished product and try some. Alright, so we have let it set for 10 minutes with the lid off, and I mean, you can still see it. I mean, it's steaming. It's, you know, still good and plenty hot. So you could probably even let it sit a little longer if you want to, but we're not going to. So now what we got left to do, yeah, that's just absolutely gorgeous. Here, I'll bring it over to you so you can see it a little better maybe. There, you'll see it better when we get it into a bowl. But it just, the whole house smells absolutely divine, to say the least, I think. So we'll go ahead and get some served up here. That way you can take a look at it. And I don't know why I didn't leave that hot pad underneath it, because I know it's going to be blazing. Oh man, oh man, oh man. Does that look just amazing. Now, I was thinking to myself, I can already think of a couple things I would like to add to this. For some reason, rice is stuck in my head like nothing else. So there is our finished product, and I'm here to tell you it looks great. But I wish you were here to take the first bite, because I know it's going to be wonderful. Now, you will want to, at some point, kind of check it for salt and pepper. You know, does it have enough salt and seasoning to it? Depending on what chicken you use. Like if you use a rotisserie chicken, there's probably going to be enough seasoning on it already. And you can pick and choose what seasonings are on your rotisserie chicken. But you want to taste for salt, pepper, seasoning, you know, whatever. Just like you would a chicken noodle soup for sure. And I did, and it was fine. You know, between the poultry seasoning I put on the chicken and the salt and pepper and all the other seasonings we put in, I couldn't at least taste anything that it needed. I could be wrong, but I think some additions I would make to this, I think mushrooms, some sauteed button mushrooms, like if we would have put mushrooms in with the green peppers, or the celery, the carrots, the onion, I think that would have been an amazing addition. And rice. I don't know why, but like just in this entire dish, maybe a half a cup of rice. So it obviously doesn't become a main rice dish. You still want this to be the focal point, but it's just in there to add a little bit of flavor, and it'll help thicken it up on top of the flour. For some reason, I just think that would be amazing, but I think it's going to be amazing the way it is. So let's, I'll stop talking and we'll start trying. What do you say? So it is blazing hot, but man, does it taste good. It's enough to knock your socks off. Yeah, mushrooms and rice, this thing would be perfection. It's perfection for what it is now. I don't think I would change a thing. Well, I wouldn't change a thing. I don't think I wouldn't. This is quite delicious. This is really hot. So maybe 10 minutes isn't quite long enough. But as you can see, I still have my face, so it wasn't hot enough to melt my face off. Give this a try. Let me know if you do. Let me know if you make something like this, and you know, maybe what your variations are. I'd be interested to hear. You know, I've made chicken noodle soup a million times. I don't know why. Oh, excuse me. Oh, whew. I don't know why I have never made a chicken vegetable soup, let alone, I've made vegetable soup, I've made vegetable beef soup, I've made chicken noodle soup. I have danced all around this soup and never once made it. But I'm glad I did now. But anyhow, if you make something like this, let me know. Let me know what vegetables you like to put in your soups. I think that would be a neat conversation to have, really. And if you try this, let me know. Let me know what you think. I think it tastes fantastic. I will definitely, this is a good warm your soul, you know, meal. Maybe some bread to go with it. You know, a little bread, a little butter. I think we'd be in like Flynn. Tomorrow, we're gonna do one of two things. I I found a recipe online that I think is going to knock our socks off, and it is a cobbler, but it is a banana and coconut cobbler, and it's a brand new recipe, at least to the internet and the lady who wrote it. I can't remember her name offhand. I think I want to say it's Renee Wilson. I could be wrong, but anyhow, the recipe looks fantastic, and it's from a website called kitchen.com, which I had never heard of before I found this recipe. It popped up on my phone, and I'm really excited and wanted to try that. Or we may do almond cupcakes. Those I've actually made already, not by video, but I actually made some for a young lady whose daughter was celebrating her 7th birthday, and that's what her daughter wanted. Oddly enough, was her favorite cupcake was almond and vanilla cupcakes. So I made those for her, and I thought, you know what, these are really good. I want to share these, so we can share these. I'll share these with you guys, and either way, what doesn't go tomorrow will go next week. Saturday, I am going to do. We're going to be processing hamburger, and I think you guys will enjoy that because it kind of holds true to any meat, and we'll dive into that. It's not a horribly long video, but it's not a short video by any means, and we're going to be canning for a little while on Saturdays, I think. I got a whole list of stuff that I want to do, and by the time I'm done doing that whole list of stuff with you guys, it'll be time to start canning vegetables out in the garden. So anyhow, I'm gonna get this over to the table so me and the fam can eat. I hope you do give this a try, and until tomorrow for dessert, I love you. I love you very much, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Tell somebody else that you love them and you love them very much. It's gonna make them feel good. They may need to hear that, and that's important to let people know. It's gonna make you feel good to tell them either way it goes. And if you make them some of this creamy chicken and vegetable soup and invite them over, they're gonna know that you love them. They're gonna taste it in every bite. It's gonna warm their soul, their hearts, lead to good conversation. Invite the neighbors over. Get to know your neighbors. I am a firm believer in the Sesame Street song, "Who are the people in your neighborhood?" You should know, because that's important. But anyhow, till tomorrow for dessert, I love you, and I will see you then. Bye-bye.